Once upon a time, in a dusty neighborhood, there is a 15-year-old girl named Aisha Suleiman. She was tall for her age, with deep brown skin like roasted groundnut and eyes too old for her young face. Aisha didn't ask for this gift. She had a gift to dream, and her dreams always happened. Whatever Aisha dreamt about must happen, and nothing will stop from happening. To Aisha, she didn't know if that was a gift or a curse. Sometimes it was small things like seeing a goat fall into a well or a teacher sleeping and falling down. One time, she dreamt about her neighbor's baby dying in her sleep. The next day, the baby died, and this broke Aisha's heart so much. The next night, she dreamt about a fire breaking out in the next compound, and it happened exactly just as she dreamt it. She also dreamt about a man living close to their house, stabbed on his way to the mosque. The next day, the man was stabbed and was rushed to the hospital. Aisha couldn't help but wonder why all she saw in her dream was something bad. That evening, she sat in front of her house, deeply lost in thoughts as she muttered some words. Why is it always a bad dream? Why must I always see people's death, their downfall, but never see them buying cars or building houses? Why? I don't really like this. And how can I walk up to someone and say, I saw your death, you died in my dream? They will call me a witch. I might even get punished, tagged as evil. But maybe if I could tell them and save their lives, that would be great. Maybe I could be a heroine, Aisha thought to herself. From that day forward, whenever Aisha had a bad dream about anyone, she would go straight to the person and tell them. But instead of gratitude, they will reject the dream and say, back to sender, I cast and bind you in Jesus' name. Witchcraft, that's what they called Aisha. But when the dreams came to pass, when the person actually died or fell into misfortune, they turned around and blamed her, saying she was the one behind it, using her witchcraft. People started whispering. Then they started fearing her. It was 3:07 a.m. when Aisha suddenly wakes up gasping for air. Her throat was dry, her body cold, her heart thundering like a drum. She had just woken up from the worst dream of her life. She saw her father, Malam Sulaiman, lying in a pool of blood in the middle of Zaria Road. People walked past him like he was nothing. Nobody helped. Nobody cried. And behind him, his phone kept ringing. The caller ID said, Aisha calling. She was the last person who tried to reach him before he died. In her dream, then a voice whispered again, the same voice she had been hearing since she was 11. He will die in 3 days. Tell him, if you don't, you will regret it forever. Aisha covered her ears and wept silently. She was tired of being afraid, tired of being called names, tired of dreaming. But if she stayed silent, her father would die. She got up, opened her room door slowly, walked barefoot across the quiet house, stood at his door, knocked. Malam Sule flung the door open, his eyes heavy from sleep but full of fire. Aisha, what is it this night again? Papa, she knelt. Please, I had a dream. Please don't go out for the next 3 days. Something bad will happen. I beg you in the name of Allah. He frowned. Dream again? This your dream spirit will kill me one day. I've warned you. It was about you, she whispered, shaking. I saw Before she could finish her statement, her father landed a hot slap on her cheek. The slap came so fast, it sounded like thunder. Aisha fell to the floor, her lip bleeding slightly. "You want to kill me with your mouth, Abi? You want to speak my death into existence?" he barked. "Please, I'm not trying to harm you," she sobbed. "You are a curse to this family. Your dreams have brought nothing but tears and fear. If I die, it will be your fault. Your hands will carry my blood." Zara, Aisha's mother, rushed out in panic. "Sule, it is too late for this shouting. Let the girl talk." But Malam Sule had lost his temper. He dragged Aisha by her arm and pushed her out of the house, barefoot, into the cold. "She will not sleep in my house again. Let her go and sleep in her dream world. Witch!" The door slammed shut. The street was cold. The moon stared down like it pitied her. Dogs barked in the distance. Her knees bled from the fall. Her lips quivered. But Aisha didn't cry anymore. She just stared into the night and whispered, "I warned you." The next morning, by sunrise, the news had spread like wildfire. Malam Sule's daughter was chased out of the house again because of her dreams. "Witch!" one woman whispered at her shop. As Aisha passed, one man said she needs deliverance. Aisha was scorned by everyone. Everyone was against her. But only Hassan, her younger brother, stood by her. Towards evening, her younger brother Hassan decided to find her. He saw Aisha sitting by the gutter beside their fence. Hassan brought bread and water. He sat beside Aisha and gave her some.
"You shouldn't have told him the dream," he said softly. "I had to," she replied. "What if he dies?" She looked away. "Then I'll bury a part of myself too." After Aisha's warning to his father to stay home for 3 days, the first day, Malam Sule refused to stay home. He said, "I'm not afraid of a child's dream." He went to his shop, shouting louder than usual, laughing harder than normal, pretending to be okay. But deep down, the words haunted him. The second day, Zara tried to speak to her husband again. "Sule, stay home tomorrow. What if it's true? Let's be careful." He barked at her. "You too now? Believe that witch? You believe she's a spirit?" "No, I just don't want to lose you," Zara replied. But Malam Sule didn't give her a listening ear and left for work that day. The third day, at 6:15 a.m., it started like any normal morning. The call to prayer echoed across the town. Malam Sule tied his turban, wore his slippers, picked his bag and marched out. Zara held his arm. "Please, for once, listen." He pulled away. "If I die, I die. But I will not be controlled by a child's dream." Aisha sat alone at the back of Mama Ino's Akara shed, her fingers shaking. She had not slept since the dream. Suddenly, someone ran through the street shouting, "Accident! Big accident on Zaria Road! A man is dead. He looks like Sule, the man that sells batteries." Aisha froze, her body cold. She ran faster than her legs had strength. And there, lying beside the gutter, phone ringing beside his bloodied head, was her father. Exactly as she saw in the dream. She stood watching her father struggle for his life as tears flowed down her cheek. Zara stood beside her husband's body at the hospital morgue, screaming like her lungs were breaking. "Sule, you didn't listen. I begged you to stay home." She turned sharply, her eyes red, her voice shaking. Aisha stood at the door. Their eyes met. For the first time, her mother didn't rush to hug her. She didn't cry in her arms. Instead, she said the words that broke Aisha's spirit. "Why did you not keep quiet? Why did you tell him about this horrible dream?"
At evening that same day, the burial happened quickly. He was a Muslim man, so they buried him the same day. The mosque was full. People whispered more than they prayed. No one came close to Aisha. She sat under the mango tree behind their house, staring into nothing. Even Hassan stayed away now, not because he was afraid, but because his mother told him, "Don't go near your sister until we know what she really is." Mama Ino, the akara seller, stood with 3 other women by the junction. "She warned him before he died," said one woman. "That is not warning, that is spiritual attack," said another. "Exactly. These dreams are not normal. It's not just vision, no, it's power." "Power from where?" Mama Ino asked, chewing her lip. Just as these women were discussing, a young boy passing by shouted, "She killed her papa, witch!" Others laughed. That name witch stuck in Aisha's ear. That night, Aisha couldn't sleep. She cried until her nose blocked, her ears rang, her chest pounded. "What am I?" she whispered. "Why do I see these things?" She prayed. For the first time in weeks, she begged God to stop the dreams, to make her normal, to make her invisible, or better still, to make her dead. Because living with a gift that brings pain is worse than dying in peace. 2 days after the burial, Aisha returned to school. She wore her hijab low and walked with her head down. Her school uniform looked clean, but her heart felt sorrowful. Just as Aisha got to her classroom, her classmates started saying horrible words at her. Some hissed, others avoided the seat beside her. During break time, 3 girls, Peace, Fatima, and Bose, blocked her near the toilet. Peace folded her arms. "You think we don't know what you are?" Aisha looked up. "Please, I don't want trouble." "Trouble found you already," Bose hissed. "You dream people's death and it happens. You're not a student, you are a devil." Fatima slapped her book to the ground. "Say it now. Who's next to die? You seen it already, Abi?" "I didn't kill him," Aisha shouted. "I only tried to save him." But her voice broke, and so did her hope. They poured a bucket of dirty water on her and walked away laughing. A teacher saw her being bullied and looked the other way without trying to stop them. That night, Zara's elder brother, Uncle Idris, arrived from Kano. He was tall, with peppered hair and a hard face. He greeted no one. He sat in the parlor and called Zara. "I heard what happened, and I came because of the girl. That daughter of yours is not normal." "What will you do? Is that why you came to visit?" Zara asked, nervous. "She cannot stay here. The neighborhood is talking. She's putting all of you in danger. It's not safe to keep her here." "But where will she go?" "You know I am a Christian. I will take her to my church in Kaduna. They handle deliverance cases, serious ones." Aisha listened from behind the curtain. Her legs went weak. Deliverance? They were going to lock her in a church like a demon and flog her. She ran to her room and packed her school bag. At 2 a.m., Aisha sneaked out of the house quietly.
She carried only her Bible, her Quran, her school bag, and a 500 naira note Hassan left for her under her pillow. She didn't know where to go. She only knew she couldn't stay. She walked for hours through gutters, past barking dogs and noisy beer parlors where men fought and music blared. Eventually, she saw a shade in front of a woman's store. Tired and with nowhere else to go, she sat there and spent the night. By morning, she quietly left the spot, not wanting to be seen in case the shop owner arrived. She continued roaming the streets, still with no destination. Unfortunately for her, she had no idea that her uncle, Mr. Idris, was at a nearby filling station about to refuel his car before traveling back to Kano that morning. Back at Aisha's home, her family had been searching for her, but no one had the slightest idea where she had gone. Just as Uncle Idris was about to step into his car after filling the tank, he caught sight of Aisha roaming by the roadside. Aisha didn't notice him, but he recognized her immediately. She was walking aimlessly, still carrying her school bag. Without hesitation, he drove straight towards her and stopped right beside where she stood. Before she could react, he got down from the car and pulled her into the car. Aisha was shocked. She couldn't understand how her uncle had spotted her before she had the chance to spot anyone familiar. She had always believed she was sharp enough to see people before they saw her. But clearly, she was wrong this time. When they arrived in Kano, Uncle Idris introduced her to the family and to his wife, Mrs. Mariam. She welcomed her warmly and made sure she was fed. As Aisha ate, she noticed two young children, her cousins, standing at a distance, quietly watching her with curious eyes. Aisha glanced at her cousins, but said nothing. She lowered her eyes and quietly continued eating from her bowl of food. The next day, her uncle and aunt took her to church to see a man called Pastor Chucks. There, Uncle Idris explained to the pastor that Aisha often had strange dreams that always ended in tragedy. Sometimes someone would die or something terrible would happen shortly after she dreamt it. Uncle Idris said he believed she was possessed and needed deliverance from the evil spirit tormenting her. What Uncle Idris didn't know, however, was that Pastor Chucks wasn't who he claimed to be. The moment he heard Aisha could see visions, a dark smile tugged at the corners of his heart. Evil and selfish thoughts began to fill his heart. Pastor Chucks chuckled. I've seen cases worse than this, he said confidently. Leave her with me for 3 days. I will cast the demon out. He assured Uncle Idris and his wife Mariam, not out of concern, but because he wanted to keep Aisha in the church for his own selfish reasons. After Uncle Idris and Mariam left the church, Pastor Chucks slowly turned around to face Aisha. She was already trembling. Fear gripped her chest like a vice. Her hands clutched her bag tightly as her heart raced. The pastor sat very close to her, far too close. Then, in a calm but unsettling voice, he asked her, "What's your name?" Aisha hesitated before replying softly, "Aisha." Pastor Chucks leaned in even closer, eyes fixed on her, and said. Then, Pastor Chucks smiled strangely and leaned even closer to Aisha. His voice dropped to a soft, almost whispering tone. Don't pay too much attention to what your uncle and aunt just said. In fact, there's nothing wrong with you. You're not possessed at all. You're perfectly fine. He paused, watching her reaction, then continued with a sly grin. Do you know you can actually become rich from your gift? Since you have dreams and see visions, why not walk with me in the church? Together, we can give prophecies to people through your dreams. His voice grew more convincing, almost hypnotic. If you agree, you will never be poor again. Nobody will ever bully you. You will become a rich girl, someone people admire and worship. And don't worry, I will make sure you are well paid. I will give you 30% of everything we make from the church. Aisha sat frozen, her heart thudding. All you have to do, Pastor Chucks went on, is stay here and become a church worker. When you dream about any of the members, come straight to me and tell me the dream. I will deliver it to them as prophecy. People will respect us, worship us, and bring more money to the altar. He leaned back slightly, eyes gleaming. What do you say, Aisha? Are you ready to live the good life? Pastor Chucks leaned forward again, his eyes sharp and intense. He said, voice smooth and persuasive, since they've made you feel crazy for your gift, I, Pastor Chucks, will show you how to monetize your talent. Just say yes and everything will change. Even your uncle and aunt will start respecting you instead of calling you possessed. But Aisha shook her head slowly, confusion and discomfort written all over her face. But, sir, that's not right. Are you trying to use your church to make money off people's pain? That's not good. These dreams, I didn't ask for them. I share them freely because I want to save lives, not make money. Pastor Chuck suddenly slammed his palm on the table, his voice rising. But that's exactly what I'm trying to tell you. People don't value free information. When you give it for free, they ignore it. But the moment you charge them, they believe it has power. Make them pay for it, Aisha. A tense silence followed. He then softened his tone again, fake sympathy in his voice. I will give you time to think about it, he said. Meanwhile, one of the sisters will show you where to stay for the night. Rest. Tomorrow we will talk again. But Aisha already knew what she had to do. Her skin crawled with discomfort. She didn't like the way the pastor looked at her. She didn't like the church and she didn't trust him. As the sister led her to a small room inside the church quarters, Aisha kept her eyes alert, watching every corner, already planning her escape. She told herself silently, as soon as no one is watching, I must leave this place. Towards evening, when the church was quiet and everyone had gone out, Aisha saw her chance. Without looking back, she slipped out of the building and ran straight back to her uncle's house. When she arrived, she lied. She told Uncle Idris that the deliverance had worked, that she no longer had strange dreams or saw terrible things before they happened. Her uncle was overjoyed. He hugged her tightly, relief spreading across his face. Thank God. Finally, you are free, he said. But that night, everything changed. As Aisha lay in bed, the same fear crept into her chest. She closed her eyes and the dream came again. In the dream, she saw her auntie's shop engulfed in flames. Thick smoke billowed into the sky, and people ran around helplessly. Then, she saw the cause. The solar panel recently installed had been fitted wrongly. A fault in the wiring had sparked a fire, and everything inside the shop was destroyed. Then, the scene shifted. She saw her auntie Mariam running desperately down the road after receiving a phone call that her shop was on fire. She wasn't paying attention. Her eyes were filled with tears and she didn't see the car speeding toward her. Bang! She was hit. Strangers rushed her to the hospital. In the dream, Aisha stood in the corner of the ward, watching helplessly as the doctors delivered the news that her aunt's leg was too damaged to save. She would never walk again. She would be confined to a wheelchair for the rest of her life. Then Aisha heard a voice, calm but firm. It echoed deeply inside her. Warn your aunt. Tell her to cancel the solar installation. In 2 days, she will be crippled forever if you stay silent.